everybody, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am Agus, and for today's video I wanted to do a winter reading wrap up. I am a bit of a slow reader, so I don't see the point in doing a monthly reading wrap up because it would be a super quick video. So we kind of accumulated like January, February, and almost till the end of March. It's like the 24th, so we'll do it winter. Spring literally started a couple days ago, so we'll do a spring one in a couple months. And I'm out of breath because I just carried a lot of books. I need to do more exercise. Anyways, also the sun keeps coming in and out, so I'm really sorry if that keeps happening. There's nothing I can do about that, sadly, but at least we got some sun today, which is very exciting. But anyways, so I don't really know how to start this. So first we're gonna go over the books that I've read in the last couple of months, and we're gonna chat about like what they're about and my rating, and then I'm gonna show you guys a couple of my books in my spring TBR. Will be ordering a couple more books this week, but I'll just kind of quickly go over them at the end of the video. But first of all, we will start with the first series that I read this year. I've kind of been reading it on and off in between books as well because I think they're just such a good buffer and they're really fun to read. So yeah, I'll just put them all together because I feel like that's easier, but I've read them like in between different books, and that is the Chestnut, oh god, the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver. And this is kind of like a cowboy romance, and it follows the Eaton family that live in Canada, and it literally follows just different love stories. So each book follows a different brother or a different family member and their love story. And honestly, you guys, you will find every trope, everything you want will be in here, and they're just so cozy. I honestly fell in love with them. I do think maybe they are more of like a spring summer read, but this was one of the first like romance series that I've read, like well yeah, I guess the second romance series that I've read, so I was really excited. So anyways, I would rate the whole series, I think, like a 4 stars out of 5 because it's honestly so good. And if you're just looking for that romance book that will literally have you like, oh my goodness, what's good, like you kind of know, I think they are predictable in the end just because you kind of get a gist of how her writing works and the stories are gonna go, but it's still like, oh my god, what's gonna happen, like I just can't wait. And you keep flipping the pages because it's the tea and it's so good. Okay, so the first book in the series is Flawless, and I rated this one 3 stars, and it follows the youngest of the Eaton brothers and a girl named Summer who is kind of trying to find out who she is and what she wants to do in life. And I feel like all these books talk about childhood like trauma a little bit, and they deal with lots of backstory from the characters and kind of finding who they are in their adult years and finding somebody that can help them like share that burden, which I really love. So anyways, this was 3 stars. Then the second one, I believe he's the oldest brother, and he's like the grumpy sunshine, and she is this fiery girl that's ready to come change his world. And I also, yeah, rated it 3 stars, and this was just such a fun read, and I ended up loving the main girl in this book so much, like at the end of the series, because the characters keep coming back, and just seeing her again, like the payoffs of this is just really good. Then this is where I became obsessed with the series, in Powerless. This follows Jasper, a hockey player who is kind of like an adoptive son in the family, and Sloane, who she's like the cousin of the family, and they have been best friends ever since they were little, or not little, but they become best friends. Anyways, they become best friends, and could there be something more? And they're both dealing with really important, you know, things from their past, and they just, you know, the companionship they find, and like, again, can it turn into something more? And just the interactions, the characters in this, so good. Yeah, so this was 4 stars. This is when I was like, this is amazing. Then Reckless, I love this one as well. This one follows the main characters, like the girl main character from the first book's sister, so it is like a family thing, and then one family friend and their story, and how accidentally they wind up in a really crazy situation together, and again they need to kind of learn that they're worth it, you know? And I think that's such a beautiful message. So anyways, that was beautiful. I think this one was also 4 stars. And then this one, I loved this one. This one follows the middle child. He is a soldier, but he's been through a lot, so he cannot work as a soldier anymore, and he's kind of lost. He is lost and doesn't know what to do. But there's this girl who also needs a little help, and she has struggled her whole life where she lives, so she could also maybe use a little help from him. And they strike a deal, and it's really, really fun. It's also, again, they struggle with lots of things, and they find, you know, it's the companionship. I think this books deal a lot with that. So anyways, 4 stars for this one as well. And I think overall the whole series of 4 stars. It's honestly, I love it, and I cannot recommend it enough if you like romance. But again, it does have like deal with lots of personal issues, I think, with lots of big backstories, but it is so beautiful, and I just cannot recommend it enough. If you are looking for romance, especially cowboy romance, enter your cowgirl romance era, because it's a great era to be in. Then moving on to kind of romantasy, I read the second one in the Letters of Enchantment series, which is Ruthless Vows. I had read the first one last year. It is in a world there's gods, and they have been sleeping for many years, but they might have woken up now, so there is a war. And this story follows 2 journalists and how they wind up being a part of it, and well, not unwillingly, but kind of, you know, they need to go tell the story. So I rated this one 5 stars, and this one made me sob. It is such a beautiful story between 2 unlikely characters, and just the words. I think I said this on TikTok as well. The way this book is written, it just feels like a love letter to writing, and it's also like a love letter between characters. It's so beautifully written. So if you're looking for romance, but also with a little bit of fantasy, and it's not actiony, it does happen in a war, but there's some action, but it's more like what happens to the characters as they're journalists. It's a very different journey other than the action, but it is so, so beautiful. And again, the writing is amazing in this. Then straight into fantasy, we have Crescent City, House of Flame and Shadow, which is the 3rd one in Sarah J Maas's Crescent City series, which is an urban fantasy, and it does have like romance in it, but it's not the main focus 100%. And I am an SJM stan. I love SJM. I love her books. ACOTAR is what really got me back into reading, and ACOTAR is like one of my all-time favorite series, and I think it'll forever stay that way just because it has such a special place in my heart. With that said, the expectations were really high for this book just because of the end of the second one, and I think we all had really high expectations. And I think sadly for me, I wasn't as obsessed, but I wasn't as obsessed with the 1 and 2 compared to her other series. I just haven't connected with the characters that much, and there's some characters for me that I'm just not invested in. So sometimes you would get a certain POV and I'll be like, oh, just skip to the other ones, and I felt really bad, but I couldn't help it. I just wasn't connected to them. So I ended up giving this book a 3.5, and it feels like a harsh rating because I think her brain, like the way everything is explained and the way everything like ties together, I think is absolutely insane. And I just don't even know how her brain works. I don't know how she can produce something like this, because it is honestly like, it makes so much sense and it's not real, but it all comes together. It all pays off really like well. I just wasn't that connected to the story, and honestly, like, if it ends here, I'm not that bothered. If there's another book, I'll read it because I love, you know, her stories, but I'm just not that invested. I think, yeah, I'm just like not that connected to the characters. I think that's what happened for me in this book, and I just really struggled to like the main character as well and her choices. So yeah, anyways, that was a 3.5. I still think her writing is insane, and I will be reading whatever book she puts out next. I just, yeah, wasn't connecting with the characters in this one, sadly. Then, this was my first romance series that I ever read. I started it last year. This is Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings, and I read it because all of the, or not all, but like 2 of my favorite booktubers literally like love it so much. So I was like, oh, I'm just gonna give it a try because they like the same fantasy books that I like. So I was like, I'm just gonna give it a try. If they love it so much, like, why wouldn't I? And oh my goodness, I am so glad I read it. These characters took over my life. This for me was a 5-star read, and I'll insert a picture of me here sobbing. I was so invested in these characters' lives. Like, I just don't even know how to explain it. Like, you feel like you're part of their friend group. You're in on all their gossip, all of their pain, everything they're going through, and you just get so invested in who they are and in their well-being. Like, I was just hoping that they would be okay. I just wanted them to be okay. That is all I wanted. Like, you just get so invested, and I think the way it's written, it's so sarcastic, it's so funny. And I have seen on TikTok, I don't think this series is for everybody. A lot of people don't like the way it's written. I personally loved it. I thought it felt really smart and funny and witty, sarcastic again. But yeah, I know it's not for everybody, but if you're looking for something like romance, lots of drama, but it doesn't follow a 3-arc story structure. Like, it's I don't want to say messy because it feels just right, but it is not like that predictability of it, and it just won't follow that story, you know. It'll do kind of what it wants. It's a very vibe feeling type of book, so if you're looking for something like that, 100% recommend. Your heart will be broken, that is 100% guaranteed. But I miss these characters so much, and honestly, I love them so much. I know there's, I think, 2 other more books coming, but they're not Magnolia Parks. This series follows 2 different main character girls. So one is Magnolia and one is Daisy. And I think there'll be 2 more Daisy books, but I think this was the last one from the Magnolia Park series, which would make sense. But yeah, I literally cannot recommend the series enough. I recommended it to my sister, and she doesn't like usually read books, but she was obsessed. So definitely recommend. I read the series One Dark Window, and well, I think it is the Shepherd King series, so One Dark Window and 2 Twisted Crowns. And I saw this on TikTok all over the place, and I was like, this actually sounds really fun. And I hadn't read like a gothic dark fantasy, so this was my first one ever, and I really enjoyed it. I think overall I would give the series again a 4 stars, and I think I gave 4 stars to each individual book as well, so overall 4 stars. And these ones follow a girl who lives in a world in which magic is kind of an abomination unless it comes from really specific cards that are controlled by humans. But if you're infected by magic, you must be eliminated. And of course, our main character is, so she is living, you know, a life in secret, a life that she is not happy in. But all of a sudden, she's presented with an opportunity to help the world and help change the world. And she has a lot of secrets, and it's just honestly really good. I would recommend it. It does have romance, so if you like romance fantasy, definitely recommend. It is a bit more gory, I would say, compared to other series, like the descriptions, but it was really interesting, and it was a really fun read that I was like, oh, are they gonna make it, are they not, you know. It's just one of those things that it was a really fun ending to read. And I really enjoy the characters in book 2 as well, because the perspectives change a little bit in book 2. They add a lot more POVs, and I was a bit like, oh, at the beginning I was like, I'm not sure if I like it, but it makes sense in the story, and I was invested. So definitely recommend if you're looking for something like that. So the book that I finished literally this morning is Bride by Ali Hazelwood, and this is my first Ali Hazelwood book, and I'm literally running to buy some of her books this week because, well, I'll probably order them from Amazon, but you know what I mean. It was so good. I wasn't sure what to expect. I literally just got it because it was, again, popular on TikTok. That's where I get most of my book recommendations from. And I literally got it and started reading the first chapter, and I was like, what was this about again? So I read the description, and I was like, oh, I see. It was honestly so good. It made me really want to read Twilight. I've never read the books. I've seen the movies a million times, but I'm a bit like, oh, should I actually read them? So this book follows it's kind of like a love story between a vampire and a wolf, which of course are very unlikely species to mix, and it is in a world, it's actually like urban, so it happens in our current world in which humans, werewolves, and vampires live, well, don't cohabit because they're enemies, but they kind of live in the same area, and it's a lot of political mess. It's a big love story, and it honestly will keep you on your toes till the end. I was a bit like losing hope there. So it's really, really good, and I would definitely recommend again if you like fantasy, if you like urban fantasy, if you like kind of paranormally and romance 100%. It was so good, and I cannot wait to read her next, like, other books. And I do wonder if there'll be another story, because kind of like the plot political things I think get quite solved, but the way it ends, I'm like, there is another potential love story. So I don't know. I literally did not do any research. I literally just finished it, so I'm not really sure if there is potential for something else, but definitely recommend. I gave this 4 stars as well. So good. I really, really enjoyed it. Those are the books I read this winter, and I wanted to show you now a couple of the books that I'll be reading in spring, and I do want to order Done and Dusted, which I think is like a cowboy romance. I want to order some of Ali Hazelwood's books, and I think there was something else. I'd really like to read Red Queen as well. One of my coworkers really recommended it, and just because it's a longer series, I've been postponing it, but I would love to read it either this spring or summer. And then Harry's reading Red Rising, and he's been really insisting that I read that one, so I'm maybe those are in my mind for the future. But the ones that I physically have are these. So we have The Prisoner's Throne, which is the second one in the, what's it called? Oh, Stolen Heir series. I read The Cruel Prince last year and I enjoyed it. I wasn't obsessed with it like a lot of people I know are. It follows some family members of the main characters in The Cruel Prince, and I'm excited to read it. I don't really remember what happens in the first one, so I'm definitely gonna have to look up a refresher because I don't remember. So we'll see, but I'm excited to read it. Then I also have 2 Emily Henry's books. I've never read an Emily Henry book, but I know so many people love her writing, so I have these 2. I think I'm more excited about reading Happy Place because this is the one that I heard like the most things about. So yeah, definitely on the spring TBR. And then the last one that I have is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and I heard this one is a very sad read, but just look at the cover. Can you guys see? It's so pretty. So we'll see. This says a most joyous, unforgettable character, the most joyous evocation of unlikely immorality. Yeah, we'll see. But those are some of the books in my TBR. I'm really excited to read them. But anyways, those are the books I've read, and I am hopefully going to read quite soon. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and I hopefully see you in the next one. Bye!